So this is the Nikon Z5II, and genuinely, I think this camera is punching up. And I'm not just saying that because we sell them at Camera House, or because they're priced so well for what you get. Other people also seem to agree. So yeah, we're going to talk about the specs, but more importantly, we're going to test this camera so we can truly understand what makes this camera feel like a high-end camera, but without the price of a high-end camera. Now, I'm going to break this down into 4 key points, and together they build the case for why the Z5II might be one of the best value-packed cameras in its class. Alright, first up, autofocus. Now, this camera has -10 EV autofocus, and what that means in practice is you can use autofocus when it's really dark, situations where normally you would need some kind of external light. So I went to test it, and for reference, -10 EV is absurdly dark. But even at this level here, you can see very solid low light tracking. During my shoot with this, I tested it in some pretty questionable conditions. The first one was this one here, which is very, very low light with overlapping subjects, and it still managed to track me when I walked behind other subjects. I even tested backlight, which it did pretty easily, and again tracking a bird using the bird detection autofocus with overlapping subjects. And it's what I would call sticky to the subject, which is what you want in an autofocus system. It's not twitchy or jumpy like some older Nikon systems, and it doesn't panic or hunt as soon as contrast drops or things get tricky. It just stays on it and tracks it. Now, I feel like the hallmark of a good system is you forget about what's going on in the technology behind the scenes and you just focus on what you're shooting. And I feel like with this camera, that's what you get. It really feels like something you'd get in something a lot more expensive, which is cool because you get it in a camera of this price. Anyway, let's move on to continuous shooting. Now, if you're shooting wildlife, sports, or basically anything that moves, burst speed matters, and this camera gives you a few options with that. At the high end, you've got high-speed frame capture mode, which shoots at up to 30 frames per second. There is some caveats to the 30 frames per second, which is that you're using an electronic shutter and you're only shooting in JPEG. If you want a bit more balance between speed and quality, you can go with C15 mode, which shoots 15 frames per second in JPEG. Now, if you're shooting in RAW, that drops down to 7 frames per second, which is a big drop, but it's good that we have that range in a camera of this price range. During my test shoot, I was chasing down the most majestic native bird of Sydney, the bin chicken. And I used the high-speed 30 frames per second burst to demonstrate the fast capturing of this camera. Alright, the next thing we're going to talk about is the video. Now, the Z5II is definitely made with photography in mind, but it is very capable when it comes to video. Now, you've got 10-bit recording, which is capable of N-Log, even at 4K 60 frames per second, but the catch is that you're using a crop sensor at that range. Might not be a deal breaker, but that is something to keep in mind. Whether you shoot at 4K or HD, the quality is still on point. You have punchy colors, good skin tones, and of course, that log shooting gives you a lot more flexibility in post-production. Oh, and that autofocus we were talking about earlier, that still holds up in the video. It's still very sharp, still very good at tracking. I shot a few clips just handheld walking around in natural light, and I feel like I didn't have to baby the camera. It has extremely good stabilization for just handheld shots and doesn't overheat at all. It's obviously not a cinema camera, but you get a lot out of it for the price range that it's at. Which brings me to the last point, which is the price. There's a few different kits you can get with the lenses, like 24-50, 24-70, and this one, which is 24-200. Again, it's priced at an entry-level full-frame camera, but it has the specs of something a bit closer to the Z6II. And for this test, this one's really simple. You guys are going to do the test. Just head on over to camerahouse.com.au, add it to cart, and feel how much less you flinch when you get a camera with these specs for this price. Alright, thanks for watching. Subscribe to Camera House down below, and we'll see you guys in the next one.